Today is United Nations Day, marking the anniversary of the 1945 entry into force of the UN Charter. With the ratification of this document by the majority of its signatories, including the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, the United Nations officially came into being.
No other global organization has the legitimacy, convening power, and normative impact of the United Nations. No other global organization gives hope to so many people for a better world and can deliver the future we want. Today, the urgency for all countries to come together to fulfill the promise of the Nations United has rarely been greater. UN Day, celebrated annually, offers the opportunity to amplify our common agenda and reaffirm the purposes and principles of the UN Charter that have guided us for the past 78 years.
Mongolia joined the United Nations on the 27th of October 1961, while the United Nations was formed on the 24th of October 1945. The way Mongolia has been working with the United Nations is through its engagement and participation in the General Assembly and all the other conventions, etc. In Mongolia, UN is being present with 23 agencies. 10 of them are resident in Mongolia, and 13 are supporting from outside. So how we work in Mongolia is that we have been doing a whole analysis of the situation, of the socioeconomic, environmental, political, and economic analysis. And we found out where are the areas where the UN can add the maximum value in Mongolia. So what we have done is, we have, together with the government, signed a 5-year strategy, which is called the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for the next 5 years, 2023 to 27. And in that priorities, we have identified the biggest 3 priorities that the UN works on. This has been signed by the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Economy and Development and 23 UN agencies. And we have looked at, the first area is about the human development and people's well-being, including health, education, food security, water sanitation, hygiene, safety and social protection, all the areas that make human lives better. So that's the first area of the work of the UN. The second area of the UN's work is balancing 2 urgent priorities on economic development and environmental and climate protection. Together we've called it green, inclusive and sustainable growth, which is achieving economic development for all Mongolians, but not at the cost of environmental degradation or the climate challenges. So it's balancing economy and environment. The third priority is called people-centered governance, rule of law and human rights, Hunni Irk. So making sure that we are creating an enabling environment for the government to really make this country a vibrant democratic organization, institutions operating well and effectively, and that's where the UN support.
The United Nations will host UN Day Concert 2023, which will be available on UN Web TV and the official UN YouTube channel at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on October 24th. The concert will feature the Environmental Symphony, the Movement, and world-renowned cellist Michael Fitzpatrick. Tuesday's concert will be held in the General Assembly Hall. This year's UN Day concert, with the theme of the front lines of climate action, is sponsored by the Permanent Mission of the Kingdom of Tonga to the United Nations, with support from PVBLIC Foundation's Family Offices for Sustainable Development. The theme of the United Nations Day concert reinforces Secretary General Antonio Guterres' call for faster, bolder climate action and intends to galvanize world leaders ahead of the COP28 climate conference in Dubai later this year and next year's International Conference on Small Island Developing States in Antigua and Barbuda.
In need of assistance aren't getting it.